Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the final part of my end of season waffle series. And for one final time, if you're new to the channel, these are not meant to be deep dive reviews into each team's seasons. They're just videos where I give a few of my thoughts on how everyone got on in 2023, with more than a few stats thrown in there as well. I've already talked about Haas, the Alphas, Williams, Alpine, Aston, McLaren, Mercedes and Ferrari, so the rest of the field in that order. So today, surprise, surprise, I'm talking about the champions Red Bull. I don't know what to say, really, that hasn't already been said. I think most of us are running out of words. This year has been absolutely incredible. In fact, if I hadn't sat and watched it all, I'd say it was almost unbelievable. After pre-season testing, the word was that Red Bull were the team to beat, but surely nobody thought they'd dominate quite as emphatically as they did. I know I didn't. I mean, I at least expected their 2022 records would stand for a little bit longer than a year, but they blew them out of the water. It was almost the perfect season after all. They won 21 of 22 races. Carlos Sainz, the only driver to stop them winning the lot, took 14 pole positions and a total of 30 podiums between their two drivers over the course of the season. And that's not even including the sprints, by the way. They ended up taking both titles, including a first ever 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship for the team, and racked up 860 points in total to cruise to 6th in the Constructors' title. I'll say that again, 860 points. Insane numbers. I know I just said that I thought the 22 records would stand for a while, so I may well be wrong with this, but I feel like this season's numbers will remain unbeaten for quite some time. And whilst I understand that some people may not have enjoyed this season as a result of the dominance, I can honestly say I feel privileged to have witnessed it, and I'm in awe of what they achieved over the course of the season. It really has been an amazing year for Red Bull. It was also an amazing year for Max Verstappen. Have you heard of him? He cruised to a third consecutive title, racking up some insane numbers himself. Numbers that honestly look and sound like they were made up, but they're obviously not. We had a 22 race season and the Dutchman won a record 19 of them, finished on the podium in 21 of them, and finished 5th in the one race he didn't make the top 3, that being the difficult weekend in Singapore. He picked up 12 pole positions, 9 fastest laps and won 4 sprints just to top it all off. Absolutely bonkers. I'm running out of words. He also set a new record for most consecutive wins in a single season with 10 in a row between Miami and Monza. And whilst many probably expected him to be the favourite coming into this season and the car looked like it could dominate in pre-season, as I've already said, surely, much like the team, nobody expected this level of dominance back in February. He was almost untouchable and barely put a foot wrong all year. There were a few moments of contact and minor errors, but nothing could stop him, and even now it is still honestly blowing my mind. Now, as was the case when Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, etc. were winning titles, a lot of people have been throwing the old "it's all the car" stuff around. And yeah, of course the car played a huge part in his success. I mean, neither Verstappen nor Hamilton are winning titles in that Haas or a Vauxhall Corsa, although I pay to see the latter. But Max made the difference, and that was proven by the fact he still managed to keep wiping the floor with the rest of the field, even when Red Bull had stopped development and the pack was getting closer. As we've known for a long time, he is a driver on another level to many, just like the likes of Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton, and so on and so forth. And that is exactly what the best drivers do. They make the difference. And that's what I love about F1 as well, by the way, the combination of driver and car. The fact it's a huge team effort from the designers to the mechanics and the engineers to the drivers. It's really hard to know what to say about his record-breaking season, in all honesty. It was insanely impressive, utterly dominant, and incredible to witness. His averages are amazing as well, but will likely come as no great surprise. I mean, I say that, but his qualifying average might surprise you a little bit. That was only 3.0 in 2023, only. His race finish average was 1.27 in the average day, staggering 24.09 points per race for a total of 575, and ended the season as champion 290 points clear of the next driver, which just so happened to be his teammate. Wow. Look, I'm going to move on now, though, and that's not to dismiss anything Verstappen's achieved this year, but there's only so many ways I can keep saying wow, incredible, amazing, insane, etc. before I just start going around in circles. But huge congratulations to triple world champion Max Verstappen, and I don't think many would be surprised if he made it 4 in a row next season. What a year. As for his teammate, though, well, not great at all. I mean, Sergio Perez started the season so well, winning 2 of the opening 4 races and snatched a couple of pole positions as well across the opening 5, but it was all downhill from Miami onwards, a race I said in our end of season livestream felt like the turning point. In that race, Verstappen had started down in P9 and Perez was on pole. It was seen by many as a bit of an open goal that once Verstappen had breezed past to take the lead, it was clear Checo had missed. Whichever way you look at it, that has got to hurt, and he just fell away so hard after that. At the following 5 events, he failed to make Q3 at all of them, and although he did recover well in some of the races, those performances in qualifying in particular were wholly unacceptable in that car. Following the race in Baku, loads of people were telling me he was a title contender. I didn't believe it at the time, not because I don't believe in Checo, but just because I didn't believe anyone could take the fight to Verstappen in a dominant car, and the whole idea of him challenging was gone in a flash thanks to that poor run of form. 9 times Checo failed to make Q3 in that car this season. 9. And this year, his Saturday struggles are summed up nicely by his qualifying average, 9.04, as well as a stat shared by F1 a couple of weeks ago where Perez topped the table for most positions gained in 2023 with 104. Lance Stroll, by comparison, was a distant second on 58, although funnily enough, Max Verstappen was third on that list, just to let you know. Yes, he did have to do some overtaking in 2023, but anyway, the point is that although yes, Red Bull did tend to set up their cars for races rather than one-lap pace, 9 pre-Q3 exits and an average qualifying position of 9.04 is just not good enough. There are drivers in worse cars compared to the RB19 who did much better than that. It must be said that it is well reported that he struggled with some of the characteristics of the RB19, specifically really the handling for much of the year, but even so, in a car that was able to win 21 out of 22 races, it's still been a poor season overall for Perez. That's not to say there weren't some really good moments. There absolutely were. As already mentioned, he won a couple of races and his drive in Baku was excellent. There were also some signs at the end of the season that he was starting to get on top of things with 4 top 4 finishes in the final 5 races, and that could have been more had he not gone all or nothing into Turn 1 in Mexico. No, not some sort of epic turnaround. I'm not claiming that, and arguably still not good enough, but there were signs of improvement. On the speculation around his seat, I never really believed that Perez was under threat of losing his place for 2024. I think the suggestion was fair given his struggles, but I always felt he'd start next season in that Red Bull. However, he has got to step it up, and I'm hoping he goes away and does what Valtteri Bottas did between 2018 and 19. The Finn had a difficult year, but bounced back with the whole to whom it may concern win in the season opener in 2019. So fingers crossed Checo can find form again. And by the way, I'm not suggesting he has to be on par with Verstappen, not at all, but he must be closer to him next season and find some consistency, because if he carries on how he did for a huge chunk of this season, he'll be lucky to make it to the summer break in that car, quite frankly. And all of that is coming from someone who likes him and defends him a lot. Some say too much, but it's not being good enough, end of. Let's kind of confirm that by having a look at some of his season stats and averages quickly, and they are not great. I've already mentioned his qualifying average, 9.04, but his average race finish was 4.50, and he picked up 2 poles, 2 wins, and more disappointingly 9 podiums, which is just 1 more than Fernando Alonso, who was driving an inferior car. He averaged 11.81 points per race for a total of 285 and finished P2 in the standings, which I suppose in his defence is the bare minimum that was expected of him this year. Still though, even if his teammate is Max Verstappen, a 290 point gap is astronomical. Before I go, I did just want to say this about the season as a whole. I know a lot of you will have found this year boring, but I can honestly say that I didn't. There was so much going on behind Verstappen on and off track. Look at what we've talked about over this series. The swapping places, if you like, between Aston Martin and McLaren. That development race was brilliant. The fight for P2 in the standings, as well as Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, Aston Martin, Alpine, all getting drivers on the podium. There was plenty going on. And as I've already said, it was a privilege to watch what Red Bull and Verstappen achieved and the way they did it. And although a lot of people won't have enjoyed it, which is fine by the way, everyone is entitled to their own opinion and entitled to enjoy or not enjoy whatever they like, I think people will look back many years down the line and see it and appreciate it for what it was. A team delivering their absolute best, a driver on insane form, and the most dominant season in F1 history. That said, as much as I've enjoyed it, it would be great to see a bit more competition in 2024, although Red Bull did start work on next year's car pretty early, so who knows, but roll on Bahrain. That is it then for this one and for the end of season waffle series for 2023. But don't forget, you can let me know how you think Red Bull and their drivers got on this season in the comment section down below. And before I go, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your support this year. I'll not bore you with the details, but it's been a tough one personally, and the channel has struggled as a result. So every view, comment, like, share, all of that has honestly meant so much to me, and I've thoroughly enjoyed talking F1 with you all. So thank you once again. And an extra thanks as well for your support with this series. They don't tend to do very well numbers-wise, these videos, but I really do enjoy just getting a few things off my chest, if you like, to round out the year. And if you're watching this as it goes out, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and that you have an incredible New Year too. Enjoy the rest of the holidays. Now, I'm logging off for a week or so, but I will be back in 2024 with some more content, and I'm currently looking at the second week of January for when the next video will be out. That's penciled in, just so you know. Obviously, as always with this channel, that's subject to change depending on what happens, but there definitely won't be anything now whilst I take some time away. And just one final thing very quickly, keep an eye on the community section as well over the winter, because I will be asking for your feedback about content for next season. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like, as it really does help the channel out in its fight with that pesky YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.